And so when Pharaoh calls for you and says, what is it that you do? You should say, your servants have been handlers of livestock from our youth until now, we and our fathers as well, that you may dwell in the land of Goshen, for every shepherd is abhorrent in Egypt. So it's pretty interesting here, all of this information that we get. He says, all right, tell them you're shepherds, which is important. One, they are shepherds. They're quite good at that. But that will also mean we can keep separate. We can be in the land of Egypt, but we need not be fully in what would I say, the urban area of Egypt. Remember, much of Genesis, much of the history of Israel in Genesis, Exodus, in the wilderness, they're an agricultural people. I mean, when you go back to Genesis chapter 11 and you see the ziggurat, and that's looking at these Near Eastern cultures that are more urban than what the Israelites are. So that's the first step, is let us do what we're going to do. That's one. Two, they're going to have a huge amount of cattle as well. They need lots of space for this. That's the second thing that I think is important. Separation, lots of cattle. Here's the second thing. They say, one of the things that they'll say, the men are shepherds, for they have always been handlers of livestock, and their sheep and their cattle, all that is theirs, they have brought. I think this is important. I think this is a way of saying to Pharaoh, you have a famine in your land, you're taking on 70 plus individuals, but give us that land with our livestock and we won't have to take anything out of Pharaoh's treasury, because we're going to see the ravages in weird time frame in chapters 47, 48. You see some weird time frame going on with the plagues, or with the famine. And so I think what Joseph's telling his brothers is, I'll reassure him we won't be a burden on him. We'll stick to ourselves. We'll take care of our livestock. And that's that. But it's this last line that it really does confuse scholars. He says, for every shepherd is abhorrent to Egypt, except we know that Egypt has its own cattle. There is some conjecture. Of course, Israel, and you'll see it with David. You'll see it with the image used of Yahweh, of El. You'll certainly see it used of Christ. But Israel has often been associated with shepherding. David is going to be the shepherd of the kingdom. Remember Moses, whenever he goes to rescue Zipporah, the woman at the well scene, he's introduced as a shepherd. And I think that's important. And again, it's going to be in Exodus that you'll see that the Israelites don't want to make their sacrifices, that is to say, lambs, sheep, or even worse, a ram, in Egypt, because the ram becomes the symbol of the Egyptian god Amun. And so there's a conjecture here that Israelite sacrifices and what they do with their livestock could be abhorrent in Egypt. And again, I don't know if that's convincing or if it's just this odd phrase that we find here in the text. But there it is. Not a whole lot of explanation there for that one.